Hi, my name is Ikai Kapilotu, and this is my week 6 uh, personal assignment. So as you can see, I've added the put and delete routes to my API now. If we open it up, we can see that I now have added validation. So here in the get with ID or get single. I'm now calling this function validate ID, which is at the very bottom here, validate ID, and it uses a function from um, Mongoose, which I've added to this document. And then what happens is if the ID is incorrect, then it's going to respond with a 500 error code, which is a server-side error, and send invalid ID. After that, here we just have the rest of the code. I added that to each of the ones that require ID, and then for both the update and the create recipe, I now have this validate string function, which is again at the bottom. And what it does is it takes each of the strings individually and checks each of the inputs and checks if they are indeed all strings. In the future, I might change it to be specific, but right now the database they're all strings in my interface. They're all strings. And that's primarily because there's just so many different types of things, like the cooking time could be minutes, and there's so much detail that you can go into, and so I decided just to keep everything simple as strings. And the other thing I did this time was make it so that when you're both creating and updating it, add ingredients is a function that allows you to add any number of ingredients to it, and that can vary from different function to different function. Because of how repetitive that is, I just made it into a function, and there's a loop that goes through it. So if we, as you can see, the newest code is up, and here's it running. And so we're going to go ahead and test it out. Try execute. So these are the current state of the database. I'm going to go ahead and test the delete. There's one number deleted, and I can go ahead and test post. Execute. There's one ID inserted. And what we're actually do is we're going to test the ID. So that ID shouldn't work because it has non-hexadecimal numbers in it. When we see error response, invalid ID. So that's the data validation checking, execute again. See, that's the correct name. And then lastly, we can check the post, test out this, and we'll change it to nonsense. Go to execute, and we get a 204 response. It's been changed. And if we go ahead and call all of them again, go to the bottom, we see the name has now been changed. So that has been my project for this week. Thank you very much for watching.